Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. A reminder that the show will be available on YouTube, podcast by latest tomorrow morning. So if you are watching live, please drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves. And if you are watching the recording, please drop a two in the comments. My guest today, for this week is Dumisani Mahlangu, a writer, runner, serial tweeter, if you are on Twitter, and senior internal auditor at the University of Cape Town. I've engaged with Dumi on Twitter, LinkedIn, Strava, Instagram, and his email newsletter. I've never actually gotten an opportunity to speak to him in person. So I always thought I'd bump into him at some race in Cape Town. But the only way I could get hold of him was to say, okay, can you come onto my live? So I finally got to speak to him in real life. Dumi, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, how's it always? Thank you very much for this invitation. What an honor and a privilege. What a warm introduction as well. I've never been introduced like that before. And then hello to everyone who's watching us live this afternoon.
To jump straight into questions, probably the most important question that dwarfs all other questions. What's your 10K PB?
My 10K.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Keeping me under the spotlight there. No, you wanted to throw me under the bus.
But in all honesty, jokes aside, tell us your story. Where do you come from outside of work? Who is Dumisani Mahlangu? Give us your backstory.
Outside work. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, if you can bring work into it as well, but give us an idea of who you are so that people know who you are.
Yeah, sure. I currently live in Cape Town. I enjoy the mother city very, very much. More especially because of the lifestyle it offers. Here in Cape Town, we run, we swim, we mountain bike, we trail run. It's a nice city to be in. But then, in all honesty, I'm born and bred in Pretoria, from Klaphat, a very small township just outside Mabopane, outside Soshanguve there. What I do, I've got a number of interests. I've got a number of hobbies. I'm a writer. I maintain a blog at dumirocks.wordpress.com, whereby until I joined the Auditor General, I used to blog about everything, including politics. But then now I blog mainly about the current affairs. I blog mainly about what is happening in the accounting and auditing profession, because that's what I'm interested in. And then other than that, what I do, and I also, did I mention that I write? Yes, I did. And I also run, and I'm a very serious runner in Cape Town, and I belong to a club. That's how serious I am. But then when I'm not doing those things, I socialize quite a bit. I mean, you can't live in Cape Town and not socialize.
That's so true. Otherwise, you might as well live in Joburg.
Of course.
Moving on from there, talk to me a little bit about the ACCA designation. The reason I'm asking the question is I'm actually a bit embarrassed to say that I'd never heard of it before until I actually looked at your profile. When I scanned through your profile, I said, okay, he's worked at the Auditor General. He's a senior internal for many years, and now he's a senior internal auditor at UCT. So clearly, getting this designation or being on the way to this designation does open some doors. But I've never heard about it before. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Perhaps always before I jump into ACCA, what is it? Let me just give my academic background, because everything will come in together. I graduated from the University of Stellenbosch with BCom financial accounting degree, and then at that stage, this degree was termed to be an ACCA accredited degree. So if you went to Stellenbosch University, I know that you are an alumnus then, under their accounting department, they actually offer 3 academic programs. they offer BCom financial accounting. ACCA accredited, they offer BCom management accounting. CIMA accredited, and obviously the most popular one, that would be BEC for those who aspire to become SAICA members. So, I mean, I was one of those young lads also who wanted to be chartered accountants, to be registered with SAICA. But then all that changed when I got to the Auditor General, when I served my article as a trainee auditor. So at the Auditor General, what happens is that not only do they train those trainees who want to become SAICA members, but then they also train those members of those trainees who wants to become ACCA members and RGA members. So I mean, ACCA appealed to me because of its global reach. And then what is ACCA? What does it stand for? ACCA is the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, a body of professional accountants that sits in the United Kingdom, and very much like CASA, it's an accounting and auditing profession. So what many people tend to do, I mean, you get a chartered accountant. In South Africa, when we are talking about a chartered accountant, and a member of SAICA comes to mind, or this person holds a designation, CASA. But then in other countries, it doesn't work like that. In other countries, when you mention that you are a chartered accountant, they actually ask you which professional accountancy body are you affiliated with. Then if you are in the United Kingdom or in Australia and New Zealand, you would say, I'm a member of ACCA, or I am a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, or in Australia and New Zealand, you'll say that I'm a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants in New Zealand and Australia. So ACCA, as much as it's a professional accountancy body, it's a body of chartered accountants. So that's what ACCA is.
Okay, I'm glad you got that definition, because I mean, coming from, when I remember many years ago when I was in high school, coming from like a previously disadvantaged high school, we didn't even know about SAICA, let alone ACCA. I mean, the only reason that I was lucky enough to find out about CASA was, I think, in my grade 11 or grade 12 year, we went on this info session that was organized. If I didn't go on that, I don't even know where I'd be today, to be honest with you. So yeah, sometimes it's those small little pivots that you learn during your life that can help you.
Yes.
A reminder to anyone who's got any questions for Dumi, please start putting your questions into the chat now. We'll deal with all the questions towards the end. So tell me a little bit about your newsletter or your blog post. What's your aim, and what are you trying to achieve with it?
No, thank you very much, always. I mean, when I started a blog, my blog is about 11 years old. It has about over 75 articles. But then why I started it is that I'm a man with a lot of ideas, and I'm a man who likes to talk about many things. So I thought, let me just put them in writing so that people can comment. And then I did achieve that. And however, now I've changed the focus of my blog post. As you see the later articles, I'm talking more about I'm talking about issues that pertains to auditing and accountancy profession or the business world. And my aim is that I want to educate people, I want to inform people, I want to engage with people, I want people to come and comment on my blogs and say, actually, that is not accurate, so that it can be a learning and educational platform. But then also I want to use that platform to develop myself as a thought leader. Okay. In matters pertaining to my trade and occupation.
Okay. And you've not recently, but you moved from the Auditor General to UCT almost 2 years ago. Yeah. What's for the young professionals out there? What's the differences in working for an auditing firm compared to working for a big educational institution?
Okay, cool. So I'm currently a Senior Internal Auditor at the University of Cape Town. I currently work in an academic space. But then previously, for about 5 years and 3 months, I worked at the Auditor General of South Africa. And for those who don't know what AGSA is, so AGSA is an external auditing firm for public sector entities, for governments, for state-owned enterprises. So in my previous life, I used to be an external auditor. So what's the difference is that when you are an external auditor is that in many companies, there's a nuanced differences in how AGSA does its audit, and then I will just touch briefly on that. But then the common feature is that company X will prepare its financial statements, and an external audit firm will come and then check whether everything that management has asserted is fair and free from material misstatement. I don't want to say it is accurate, but then it's free from material misstatements. So that's what all audit firms does. But then with the Auditor General, they extend their scope a little bit because, I mean, as you know, that each and every department has its own strategic objective. A Department of Health exists to perform 1, 2, 3. Department of Social Development exists to perform 1, 2, 3. National Parliament exists to make laws and pass laws. So at the end of the day, at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of their 5-year term, what they will do is that they will set targets, they will set goals, and then the Auditor General on an annual basis come and then check if they indeed have achieved those goals they have set for themselves. And then, as you know, that procurement in government is also a big thing. There's a lot of spending that goes into procurement, and then the Auditor General also check if tenders that have been awarded to service providers have been done in a manner that is fair, it's equitable, and it's transparent. So that's what I did in the last 5 years before I joined UCT. Now I'm at UCT. So the role have changed completely. I'm an internal auditor. I am employed by UCT, and then my clients are within UCT. And then let me explain my role through an example. Okay, so what do we do? What internal auditors do is that we check whether internal controls have been adequately designed and they are operating as intended. We also look at whether the governance around this organization is sound. And then from time to time, we look at finances of projects to indeed a limited extent, what would be called an agreed upon procedure of factual findings. So let me give you an example. So, you know, an academic space is a little bit different from, let's say, from Old Mutual or from an insurance company. So what we do is that they would call me and then to check the processes, if the processes are efficient and effective. So let's say students are about to write their exams. At the end of the day, as UCT, we want to preserve the name of UCT. We want to make sure that the degree, that the name of a person that is getting the UCT degree is worth the paper that is written on. So what we do is that we are looking at processes surrounding, let's say, student records, surrounding examination. So, for example, before you write an exam, there will be a paper that is being set, right, by an academic, and then that paper will need to be printed, and then it will need to reach the examination venue, and then we must make sure that during the examination process, as the examination session is unfolding, there are no irregularities. So what will happen? We will have invigilators. We will have invigilators there. And then after we have written this exam, this papers needs to be marked. At the end of the day, what do you want to see once the paper has been marked is that the mark that has been allocated to the student is accurate. So what I have mentioned there is I have mentioned 3 processes. I've mentioned the printing process. I've mentioned the invigilating process and the examination session, and then also I have mentioned the marking process. So there is a procedure manual in which this process must follow. So what I do is that from the first step to the last step, I check that everything that is being done in as so far as this exam is concerned, it's in accordance with the examination procedure manual. So I will make sure that the paper is properly printed, the paper does not leak, the paper is being stored safely, and then there are adequate numbers of invigilators depending on the size of that examination session, and then the paper is being marked, and then the marks are being allocated accurately to the students' transcript.
It sounds like you hold the future of future professionals in your hand just a little bit. It's a lot of power.
There's a lot of things that we do, but that's just an example of what I do.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. So moving on, you've been quite vocal about the problems in the auditing industry. So what advice, on a slightly different tangent, what advice would you have for a young professional navigating the profession?
So I find it interesting that many young professionals want to become chartered accountants or want to become auditors for the remuneration aspect of the job. At the end of the day, maybe in the first few years as a qualified professional, money matters, but then maybe at the end of the day, it won't matter as much. So what matters is that you must go into this profession for the right reason. You must know your why. Why do you want to be an auditor? Why do you want to be an accountant? And your why must be strong enough, because there's a lot of problems in this profession. If I can just mention one or two, the quality of financial statements that are being produced by our accountants leave much to be desired, and that's a problem in itself. And also the quality of work that auditors are doing is under so much scrutiny, because investors are saying, hey, auditors, what are you giving us? And then auditors are saying, hey, CFOs, don't you understand your accounting standards? So your reason to become an auditor and a chartered accountant must go beyond the potential income that you will earn.
That's great advice in terms of your why. I remember in my auditing days, I think the reason that I didn't stick around after articles was I just couldn't work in a place where, because you're working at clients most of the time, but whenever you're there, you can feel that the client doesn't want you to be there. And I just couldn't work in a place where that negative energy, if that makes any sense. It takes a certain personality to be there for the long term, and that just wasn't my personality, so I didn't stay there.
Yes, and also our clients, especially the juniors who work at our clients' premises, don't know why are we there. So they think that we are financial police of some sort, and in no ways are auditors police. And auditors are very important to safeguard the interest of shareholders in the case of external auditors, but then to make sure that the processes are effective and are efficient in the case of internal auditors, and the controls are strong enough to safeguard the financial interest and the long-term sustainability of organizations.
Okay, no, that's great. Let's move a little bit to see if there's any questions. I'm going to pull up a question. So we've got a question from Celeste. She wants to know, is the process of ACCA still the same, CTA, then articles of 3 years with 3 board exams, or how does it work?
Okay, cool. There's indeed many ways to skin a cat in this instance. So let's talk about 2 types in which one can actually end up being an ACCA. So I don't want to compare and contrast ACCA and CASA because I will cause a lot of confusion. So with ACCA, to answer Celeste's question, you don't need CTA. Why? Because CTA in South Africa is an NQF level 8 qualification, meaning it's pitched at the same standard as an honors degree, all right? And so is ACCA. ACCA is in 2 parts. ACCA in one part is an academic qualification because it's also pitched at NQF level 8, but then it's also an occupational and a professional designation. All right. So let's assume that you've got a 3-year accounting degree, be it a management accounting degree, be it a ACCA accredited degree, be it a BCom financial accounting degree from UNISA. What you will need to do is that you will need to go to www.acccaglobal.com and then check what type of exemptions you can get. So I will explain the exemption part a little bit shortly. So, and then you just need a degree to kickstart your ACCA journey. So for somebody who has a degree, so you'll go to this accaglobal.com and then you check how many exemptions you can qualify, because what they do is that they look at your degree, and then they also look at the subjects that you have done at university, and then they give you exemptions. Remember, in order for one to become an ACCA, you need to have completed 13 papers. Oh yeah, 13 papers. And then if you've got and then if you've got an accounting degree, they can give you up to 9 exemptions. All right.
Oh, so okay.
If they give you 9 exemptions, it means that you only need four papers to write. The papers are called strategic professional papers, and then it's strategic business leader, strategic business reporting, and then there are 2 other optional papers that you can do, but then you have to choose 2 from this following 4. It's advanced taxation, and that advanced taxation is available in the South African variant, UK variant, or any of the countries that you are interested in. You can choose advanced financial management, whereby you will be learning about mergers and acquisition, valuation, risk management techniques, and the likes. And then also there's a subject that is very interesting called advanced performance management. So those are the whereby they are looking at how do we, it's like management accounting at a very strategic level. So
correct me if I'm wrong. So if somebody wants to get a global view, or maybe wants to work in the UK, they can do that taxation subject in the UK variant, and then they'll be able to apply for jobs and do. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Yes. That's what they can do. So for most students who qualified who got their primary degrees in South Africa, they choose a tax variant of the South African variant, because I mean it's just a continuation. And then even with the first 2 subject, the strategic business reporting. Strategic business reporting is just an accounting that is focused on efforts. That also comes in variant. So there's an international variant. An international variant is as efforts, and then you can also choose a UK GAAP or US GAAP and focus on that. And then on optional papers, there's one that I did not mention, advanced auditing and assurance, whereby you focus on international standards on auditing. I just want to talk about another interesting subject that we do, strategic business leader. You know, chartered accountants are not just accountants, or chartered certified accountants. They're not just accountants. They're future business leaders. In order for you to be a business leader, you need to be strategic in your thinking, so that you can influence the strategy and the growth of companies, like how OCFO does for its clients. So strategic business leader, what is there? Is risk management, it's governance and ethics, and then it's also business strategy. So those are the subjects that we do. But then before I jump into the experience that is needed, let me go back that ACCA is not only for people that have degrees, and that's why I like this communication. I mean, for somebody, I mean, like now, matriculants are waiting on their results. I understand that they will be released somewhere in February. Even a student who is in matric can start ACCA right away, as long as their mathematics is good, and then their English pass is also good. So they don't get exemptions though. So they will have to do all these 13 subjects from the foundational level to the skill level to the strategic level. So what is also interesting is that with ACCA partners with a number of international universities. So for those who are members and are qualified, they can go to Oxford Brookes University and register for an MBA, or they can go to University of London and register for Masters in Professional Accountancy. But then for those students who start this journey from level 1, from the very first paper, they can also go to Oxford Brookes University, whereby they will end up with a BSc in accounting and a BSc honors if they also complete a project. But then also, what is nice is that to be an ACCA member, you need 3 years experience as well. But then you don't need to serve articles as defined. So what you need a relevant working experience that a chartered accountant needs. So let's say, for example, someone is working now. He or she has a BCom financial accounting, and then has been working at a small and medium enterprise. So what can happen there is that if that person has been preparing financial statements, doing management reports, writing meeting with clients, doing the business strategy, that person can use that experience in order to apply for membership at the end of the day. They don't necessarily need to serve articles like members.
Okay, so it sounds like the options, there's more options, and anybody who wants to consider ACCA should actually just Google and do some research, and there you've got another opportunity. And it's not just the CSA opportunity. I know we're running short of time, but I just want to get Zimkita's question in quickly. She wants to know, what is your view on comprehensive regulation, the regulation of the entire financial reporting ecosystem? I'll give that to you.
Zimkita, thank you very much. I mean, that's a topic that I'm passionate about, and then I hope that I don't waste time being drawn by passion. But then I'm a firm believer in comprehensive regulation, and I think that comprehensive regulation is needed. It is needed now, at this hour, at this juncture, because it is comprehensive regulation that will address some of the issues that we are having in auditing and the accounting space. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I wrote an article, my latest article that I penned in December, speak very much on this issue. But then also, when National Parliament called for the comment into the amendment of the auditing profession bill, is that what I said then, that I was one of the stakeholders who submitted and who made a submission, and then I said there is no point in just sanctioning auditors if auditors are only being called to assure the financial statements or the financial reports that are being prepared by other people. So I said that in actual fact, the bill that we are discussing today needs to be expanded to cover comprehensive regulation.
Just for those of us who a small example on comprehensive regulation, so that those of us who don't understand.
So a comprehensive regulation is auditing profession is regulated. It's regulated by the IRBA, whereby you cannot just become an auditor. You need to follow the guidelines of the IRBA. So what is happening is that you become a SAICA member, right? Always, and then sometimes you are being called to become an interim CFO for your clients. Let's say if you intentionally perpetrate fraud into the presentation of those financial statements, and if no one reports you to SAICA, there is no any other body that you can be reported to. But then as it stands, auditors in South Africa, it's only chartered members of SAICA or chartered accountants SA that can become auditors. So what happens is that IRBA will take, if you fail audit quality, or if you don't do your auditing work as you should, somebody can report you to IRBA, and then IRBA can discipline you and sanction you, and then refer you back to SAICA, whereby SAICA will further do their investigation and also debar you or take your membership. So as it stands, the dangerous part of being a professional accountant that is not regulated is that professional accountants are going on about their lives and the lives of their clients without any real repercussion in a true sense of the word, and that does not strengthen any oversight in our domain.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we've covered quite a bit. I'm really happy that we found out there's another option in terms of a different certification that people can apply to, and you've given us a good description about that. A reminder to everyone that the show will be available on YouTube and podcast by latest tomorrow. If you are watching the recording on YouTube and podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you get notifications for all the new episodes that come out. Just an update that next week is going to be an action-packed event because we're going to have 4 different interviews Monday to Thursday. So it's going to be quite exciting. Dumi, thank you very much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. And thank you for helping the young professionals out there and for teaching us a little bit about something new.
Let me before we go, let me add something always. You know, I mean, on LinkedIn and everywhere else, I get a question as to will I ever find employment if I study ACCA? Many people are reluctant on studying ACCA because they're comparing it very much with CASA, and then they think that there are no opportunities for ACCAs in the country. But then if you do ACCA and then you've got the skills, companies don't look at the paper that you have. Companies look at the value that you'll add when they employ you. And I mean, one other thing is that that relates to Zimkita's question as far as comprehensive regulation is concerned, is the issue of IRBA accrediting other professional bodies that its members can be able to do auditing. And ACCA in other countries, in other markets are doing auditing, and then they rise up to become audit partners. And then I think with IRBA is in that process as well, whereby it is looking at accrediting members. And then the advantage of that is that ACCA members or students will also be able to be hired by big auditing firms to train as ACCA members. But then one other advantage of having an ACCA student in your fort as an entrepreneur is that, you know, ACCA is so flexible in the sense that, let's assume that you've got in your company, you got somebody who has an accounting degree, they got 9 exemptions, they're only left with 4 exams. ACCA exams are written on a quarterly basis. So that person, you can allow that person to go write his or her exams in a period whereby your company is not busy, and in a period where your company is busy, maybe let's say it's a financial year end or it's a reporting period, and that person might not write those exams, and they will be able to progress.
Okay, no, that's great. Thanks, Dumisani. Appreciate the time. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat.
Sure. Thank you very much. Bye.